Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony. Welcome to another edition of B&A Sports Talk. So today, what I want to talk about is a few things. And we're going to do a free agent spotlight. We're also going to mention the Giants cutting Zeitler. And then we're going to do my pre-free agency mock draft, my post-tag mock draft. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the entirety of the draft. I think I might just do it before the Giants pick. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's go into Kevin Zeitler. I thought we should restructure him. We saw what the Dallas Cowboys did. They restructured 3 contracts, and all of a sudden they have a lot more space to work with. And the Dallas Cowboys they did a pretty good job. As far as the Dak Prescott thing, I don't want to go into it. But we all know the rules. We know the rules of engagement. You're not going to be able to win with a $40 million quarterback. People say, why did Dallas wait all this time? Okay, do you think the Rams should have waited? Do you think the Eagles should have waited? If you think they should have waited, don't complain about that. Don't complain about Dallas Cowboys waiting. Just don't. That's what I don't get. People they don't see the hypocrisy. Like, oh, why'd you pay them so early? Yeah, if you paid Dak early, the same thing could have happened. And you could be moving off his contract right now. And it probably wouldn't have ended up being that way, but it was still a possibility. So, as far as Kevin Zeitler, I thought we should have restructured his contract. I thought he was good. I did watch some of his tape, and he wasn't bad. I mean, he improved towards the latter end of last year, which is what we said about Nate Solder. Like, oh, he improved as we got to the end of the year, and then all of a sudden, like, oh no, he's actually just bad. But I thought there's some good redeeming things about Kevin Zeitler that we should have and could have worked with. I think we're trying to trade him, but the whole Will Hernandez thing kind of ruined things. I made a video, I think yesterday, 2 days ago probably now, saying like, oh, we should restructure Zeitler, have Shane, and then cut Hernandez for like $2 million, and then focus a lot of draft capital on the draft. And it will go into my mock draft a little bit later, but I think that we should restructure Solder right now. Initially had us like just cutting him, restructure Solder, and then have him only as like a dead cap hit of like $3 million next year, because he's not going to agree to like a 0 cap hit next year. But restructure so it's like it's a painless pretty much thing next year, but you save a lot of money this year. You save $8 million instead of $6 million if you were to cut him. Do that sort of thing. I think what Dave Gettleman said, you don't want to restructure a bunch of guys. You have to restructure some. I think he's not stupid like that. You have to restructure some. It's just that when you get you get comfortable restructuring people, that's where you get into trouble. So it's going to be good for Nate Solder, Andrew Thomas, and Matt Parrott. I'm comfortable with those 3 tackles. And then if somebody gets injured, you have some depth guys, a Slade, maybe a late round pick at the offensive tackle spot or something like that. I think we should be fine. Now the interior is a big problem. We'll get into that in the draft. But there's also a free agent out there, Riley Reiff. I highlighted Joe Thuney as one of my free agent spotlights. I did a video on that, but Riley Reiff got cut by the Vikings. They saved like $9 million. He wouldn't fit with our scheme. A lot of people are going to say that when somebody's cut, oh, have him as a Giant. He's probably not going to cost that much money, but he just doesn't fit with our system. The Titans have to do a lot of RPO. What he does, he's fast, he's quick, but he has no strength. He can't push anybody in the run game. I didn't see any of that. There were plays against Tampa Bay. I just watched the entirety of the Tampa Bay game. He's just getting pushed around. Pushed around at will. Guys are just shedding off him. They're throwing him around like a rag doll. He's probably like 305. I didn't check the exact weight. 310 pounds. Only lit up 1 sack. Only had 1 penalty. Yeah, it's because they're constantly moving the pocket. It's really hard to be credited with the sack. Kirk Cousins also gets the ball out really quick. With a Daniel Jones, he's in 3rd year. He's going to be more competent this year, but he's not going to be like a Tom Brady or a Kirk Cousins guy who gets the ball out really fast, and a guy who knows the offense 100%. We're expecting that leap up, but Riley Reiff it would just be too much money. It just wouldn't be a good idea. So that's my free agent spotlight number 1. We'll get more into those hopefully over the next coming days. I'm not too sure how many I'm going to do, but we'll just start off with that. And so next, let's get into my Giants mock draft. The first official one that I'm doing, post cap hit and post whatever. There's a guy with a flashlight coming. The post free agency and post flashlight. I'm like walking in the woods, but I'll see like a flashlight in my face. Okay, so now let's go into my mock draft, my updated mock draft. I'm not going to throw out my previous one. I'm just going to do up to the Giants, maybe a couple of picks after that, kind of what I'm thinking about this year's draft. Number 1, Trevor Lawrence. I was thinking about making the Justin Fields joke or Kwity Paye joke at number 1. But no, I'm not going to do that. Let's go on to number 2. I think the first 2 picks are locked in. I think this is Zach Wilson. I think that the Jets trade away Sam Darnold for, like, I think his value is like a second and a fifth max. People are like, oh, 2 seconds. I'm like, really? No, I don't think so. I think he's going to go to the 49ers. But that's not what we're talking about now. Or maybe the Washington football team. It doesn't really matter. But, yeah, so they get their quarterback of the future. And so see what they do at 23. That'll be very interesting. But number 3, Dolphins can go 2 ways here. They just got Isaiah Wilson. I don't think their tackle spot is set. But I think that they have to give a weapon for Tua. That'd be Jamar Chase. And he's the best wide receiver in the draft, according to some people. I have him at number 2. I think Devontae Smith is better. I think that Chase will have problems separating, but I think he's such a natural route runner. He's going to be like a Stephon Diggs. I can see him succeeding in this league. I just like a guy like Jalen Waddle way better because I think he fits a little bit more with the modern. I don't want to say the modern NFL, but I just think his speed is just such an asset that Jamar Chase doesn't have. He doesn't have that breakaway speed, but I think he's going to be really good in this league. Number 4, man, I think it's Caleb Farley. With the thing with Arthur Smith, he's an offensive guy. He may be like, okay, Falcons, we're going to draft an offensive guy this year. But are you going to draft another wide receiver? Maybe Penei Sewell? I don't know. But I think I have him going after Caleb Farley. He's probably the best defensive player in the draft, a cornerback. Your defense, the problem with your team was your defense last year. It wasn't really the offense. Julio Jones is now aging, so that may be a problem. But you still have Calvin Ridley, who's a really good underrated wide receiver. He always gets mentioned in the underrated wide receiver conversation, and sometimes he even doesn't. The dude is solid. He had like the 5th most yards this year, 6th most yards. Really underrated season. I think their offense is good. I don't think they go after a quarterback. Can we stop that? They go number 4 with Caleb Farley. Then number 5, the Bengals, they can't pass it up. They have to go after Penei Sewell. #protect Joe Burrow. I don't know why I use hashtag in like a sentence, but that's their movement this year. They might go after Joe Tooney, but imagine Joe Tooney, Penei Sewell, and Jonah Williams on that line. I was kind of leading the charge last year with like Penei Sewell isn't as good as people think he is. This was like after last year's draft because people were like, oh, Penei Sewell, can you go number 1 in the draft? Or number 2, I guess, behind Trevor Lawrence? I'm like, huh? Like, people say he's so good, but like I don't see it. I don't see the success. I don't see him mauling people. Well, I see him mauling people, but I don't see it like consistent every single play. I don't see it like nobody can get around this guy. This guy's like a freaking, I don't get like a statue, but like he's a wall, I guess. Like a statue, I guess you can just run around, but he's a freaking brick wall. And I'm telling you, it spans from like Texas to Canada. To California. I don't know. I'm trying to make the analogy. But number 5, the Bengals select an offensive tackle. Now, with the tag, they're losing a lot of defensive line players. But I think they'll address that later in the draft. You're going to go, hopefully Christian Barmore falls down. There's a guy at NC State that people like. There's a guy out of Texas A&M that people like. I think also Washington too. They may address that in later rounds in the draft. And then you have number 6, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going all in on Jalen Hurts. I think they might trade out of the spot. Kyle Pitts is going to be tempting. I think they can trade out of it with the Denver Broncos, with the Panthers. In fact, I'm going to have the Panthers jumping up and selecting Trey Lance, getting their quarterback of the future. Number 7, you have the Lions, who didn't franchise tag Kenny Golladay, so he's gone. He's gone officially. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. That would be kind of stupid. But he's gone officially. Devontae Smith is going to be their guy, an offensive guy. I was thinking about Micah Parsons for a while, but he just lost that wide receiver talent, and you need Jared Goff to succeed in the first year. He'll be a cheap option for the first couple of years, and so Devontae Smith goes to the Lions. Number 8, you have the Eagles. The guy fell down to you. I mean, you probably lost on a Devontae Smith, but you still have Jalen Waddle, you still have Kyle Pitts, and I think the pick is going to be Kyle Pitts because they're going to have to get rid of Zach Ertz. They're going to be like, what do you call it, Hurts? Just throw it up to Pitts. Just throw it up. He's one of the best tight ends in the draft classes of the recent future, better than TJ Hawkinson was, and he got drafted 9th overall. So I think that Kyle Pitts goes number 8 to the Eagles. Then number 9, we have the Denver Broncos. Justin Fields falls right into their lap. Now, this is where, when conceiving this, I was confused. I'm like, do you go Patrick Surtain for one of this Vic Fangio defense? You go a defensive lineman because you're probably going to have to get rid of Von Miller. They have a lot of options they can do. They can trade back to a QB needy team. Man, I think the Patriots are going to be willing to trade up. I think a lot of teams are going to trade up. So I think name X team is going to trade up, get Justin Fields because he is falling. You have 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 9. I've seen people with 5 quarterbacks taken in the top 8. So 4 taken in the top 9 I think is pretty par for the course. I've seen people take 4 in the first 4. But I think Team X trades up for Justin Fields. They trade back. They're willing to do this. They did the same thing with Devin Bush for the Steelers. They have a lot more picks that they probably need to add. But they're close, though. They're close. But it's just I don't think Justin Fields is really going to entice a guy like John Elway to make that big move. And I think they may want to pursue Deshaun Watson if he's still available. They want to go after that high ceiling guy. And Justin Fields, they don't want to develop another guy. I think John Elway's just like, can we get a guy that's actually good, solidified that we know? And that worked with Peyton Manning. And then finally, not finally. What am I saying? The Dallas Cowboys. This is where I think Rashawn Slater is going to go. And if they go after a defensive lineman like Kwity Paye, that's great for the Giants. But I think that they're going to go after a Rashawn Slater. And now if you look at the Giants position, you have the 3 tackles that I mentioned earlier in the video. You're weak at guard. You're really weak at guard. I'd be willing at this point, if I'm the Giants, to take AVT, Elijah Vera-Tucker. I'd be willing to. Rashad Bateman and Pat Surtain's still on the board, but I don't want corner. I think we could just solve that enough. Like we could do that different ways. We have a lot of corners. But so the 3 candidates, Jalen Waddle, Rashad Bateman, and Elijah Vera-Tucker. I think Jalen Waddle is the best prospect in this draft. As far as wide receiver, not the best prospect, but he's the best wide receiver in this draft. You go after the best wide receiver. You select Jalen Waddle, although I won't be mad with some of those other selections. And then the 49ers go. They get Pat Surtain. Go a little bit quicker. The Vikings go. They can go after Christian Darrisaw. Maybe even go after Rashad Bateman to have that 1-2 punch with Justin Jefferson and Rashad. That would be pretty cool. Somebody's going to fall. Somebody's going to fall to the Giants. In this scenario, I have Jalen Waddle falling. But if the line's like Jalen Waddle, then we'll probably have Devontae Smith fall. So it depends what the Giants have, who they have on their board. But, yeah, that's kind of my opinion about it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.